Hey everybody, and welcome back to the MD Investor podcast. So today what I really want to talk about in terms of investing is understanding what the purpose of investing is. And most of the time when people are investing, they don't understand the purpose of their investment. Now that might sound extremely silly, but it's reality. And what I mean by that is some people invest with the hopes that once they do their investment, they'll start making money right away. But that's not really why it is. So in this episode, let's get into it. Let's talk about why you're actually investing and what the purpose of your investment is. And you may be surprised to find out that your investment, it's not about you. More than likely, it has nothing to do with you and your current state and who you are at the moment. So let's talk about that. Now, when I first started getting involved in investing, the issue I had with investing is that every time I did an investment, I was looking initially for the return on the investment to happen within a short time frame. And there's a huge difference between investing, trading, and then just creating an income. So if you want to create an income, the issue with that is that you can make an income and you can make money and you can cash flow things, and that's perfectly fine. That's the goal. We want to cash flow things, but that is not the same as making a true investment. If we're making a true actual investment, then the goal for that investment, it's not for you. So who you are today, what you're doing today, and what your plans are for today, that's for you right now. That's not for the future you. When you're investing for the future you or for your family. It's not about you and it's not for you. And that mindset seems to be very difficult for a lot of people to understand. And because it's so difficult to understand, a lot of people fail when it comes to doing their investments. They might try to do things like, let's time the stock market, or let's do things like, let's time the housing market. And is this going to be another recession where it's like a 2008 kind of crash, or is the stock market going to crash and we're going to have a terrible recession? Whatever it may be, the issue with that is it's not for you and it's not for what you're doing right now. It has to be for what you're doing in the future. So let's talk about some ways where you can actually start to invest, and that investment is not for you right now, but for the future you. Let's equate that to something like college. Right? When you go to college or you go to high school, let's even say high school, because most people all go to high school, right? There's some people who don't finish high school, but for the most part, a lot of people are mandated to go to high school. So let's use high school as an easy reference point. When you go to high school, day one, as a freshman in high school, if your goal is to get a high school diploma or a high school degree, on day two as a freshman, are you expecting that degree? And the answer is no. Like you wouldn't go, hey, this is the second day of school. Where's my degree at? I was promised a degree. It doesn't work like that. You know that when you get involved in something that education based, like some type of school, whether it's a tech school or college or high school, you know that once you do it, you have to complete the program in order to get the benefit of the program. In most cases, the benefit is just a degree, something that you can hopefully apply to something in the future. It doesn't mean that once you get the degree that whatever you're looking for in life is coming to you. It just means that now you have the skill set and the qualifications just to open the door. So for some places, even like McDonald's might be like, hey, you have to have a high school degree to come here and flip burgers. It might sound ridiculous because why do you need a high school degree to flip burgers? But in reality, when I was in high school, that was the case in some places. So like going to work at a job like Target or Stater Brothers or like a grocery store, they required you to have a degree. And when I was in high school, I was like a sophomore in high school looking for a job, and they would not give me a job because they required a high school degree to do the most mundane tasks, like sweep the floors and stuff like that. Eventually what happened is I ended up getting a job at this fence company across the street where I did stuff where I felt like you probably should have had a degree. We did welding. I mostly cleaned up the yard, like cleaned up nails and stuff like that, cut boards, did stacking, sometimes did holes and trenches and stuff. So that was my first experience with working a legitimate job, was that I was working at a fence company. But the point of that story is that when you start the process of that, you don't expect the results instantly. The results have to come over time. So even on my first day at work, I wasn't like, hey, where's my paycheck? I didn't come and show up and like, hey, I dug this hole. I gave you the 8 hours or the 4 hours that it was part time. I was in school. So it was like, I gave you the 4 or 5 hours that you asked for. Where's my paycheck? No, it's like a rollover period. It's like you have to work for 1 week, and then like the second week or something like that, you get paid on like week two or whatever. Like you have to have some kind of cushion and some kind of lead in to where now all of a sudden you start getting paid. And that's the same idea with investing. When you get started in investing, you're not going to see instant results. You have to have some kind of lead in time. Like it's just like if you're going to college or if you're getting your first job, your first paycheck doesn't come on the same day. So you have to realize that if you're doing it out of desperation, if you're doing it out of something that you're hoping will instantly fix your solution or like your situation or your money problems, then you're doing it incorrectly. And the reason that's incorrect is because you haven't first learned the skill sets and you haven't gotten what you need in order to be certified to use those skill sets for yourself in the future. So when it comes to investing, investing in a certain type of way requires a skill set. If you're going to invest in real estate, then you have to have the proper communication, the proper relationships, the proper contacts in order to make sure that what you're doing is successful. Like, I wouldn't go and just buy a property straight up off of Zillow and be like, okay, great. Now I own property. I'm going to be wealthy. It doesn't work like that. Now, a lot of people might do that, but those people are the ones who seem to see like they struggle or they're in the market at a bad time or they're doing things without actually doing any preparation or skill set involved in it in the first place. So when I'm talking about it's not about you, the version of you today that wants to be wealthy, that wants to be successful, that wants to learn how to invest, that person needs to understand the difference between who you are now, what you need now, and what you need for your future. If we're going to get invested in stocks, which I do because I love stocks, whether the stock market is going up, whether the stock market is going down, there has to be a plan in place. If the stock market is going down for 3 months straight in 2020 or 2022 or 2023 or 2024, it doesn't matter what year it is. If the stock market is currently going down, but I know that my plan is a 30-year plan and the money today is not for me, then it doesn't matter that the stock market is down on today. Because that means that I have to believe in one of two things, which is one is my money is lost forever. That has to be one assumption to make me afraid. And then two, the company that I invested in has to be completely failing. And if that company is completely failing, knowing the way that I invest, which means that I fundamentally picked a company that I don't think would last. And if that is the case, that's not something I would invest in. Like when it comes to property and I'm investing in property, I would not pick a property that I don't think would last either. It's the same idea. Like I wouldn't pick a property where the foundation is crumbled and I think it actually can fall into a sinkhole in the next few years. Like I wouldn't invest in that property unless it was a fix and flip or it was something that I thought was going to be able to be repaired or fixed in that manner to where I can keep it for long term. The name of the game is longevity. And most of the time, if you're truly investing, it's probably not for yourself anyway. So if you have a family, if you have children, most of the time, your investment, your 20-year investment, your 30-year investment should be for your legacy, not for yourself. If you need money for yourself, great, get a job. That sounds like, well, what if I don't want a job? Then you have to understand how to create cash flow and create income. If you're going to create income and cash flow from a business, that is one aspect of it. If you're going to use stocks in the stock market for creating income for your business, then there's another aspect of it. So we can do both. There's no limitation to how you can approach it, but you have to understand the skill set and the difference between your approach. So if your approach is for something like, hey, I just need to make cash flow, I just need to have money now, I need money today, then we are going to trade for today. We are going to do fix and flips for today. Why? Because we need cash flow now. But if we're thinking like an investor and we're going to be an investor in something else, then the investments have to be long term, which means that we cannot stop a long term process for a short term solution. What that means, for example, is I won't buy a property and then sell that property because I need money right now. Because what about tomorrow and the day after and the day after? Now, if you have the skill set, you can do both. You can have properties that you fix and flip. This is something that I do myself. So when I purchase a property and it's for cash flow now, I will buy a smaller property like a single family property or a duplex or a triplex, something on the smaller side. that will be something that's going to cash flow me for today. So let's say it's a 6 month project or a 3 month turnaround or something like that. I might take a hard money loan for this project, get the property up to par, get it rehabbed, get an AVR on it, or get the value of that property, and then sell that property because I need cash flow now. So that might be, $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 in profit for just cash flowing that property. However, that is not a long-term solution. Now, if I use that money and I roll it into a larger property, maybe I get a 10 unit or a 20 unit property, and I'm holding on to that property for 30, 20, 40, whatever. I'm holding on to that property for life. Now that is going to be a long-term investment, something that I'm not going to touch, something that's going to be there to cash flow for my legacy and for generations to come. And that is the goal. So if you do need cash now, you need to learn the skill set on how to create cash now. And if you do need a long-term project to where this is going to be an investment for your lifetime, then you need that separately. Which is why when we're investing, you might have to have multiple accounts. Like I have multiple accounts. I have like E-Trade accounts or Robinhood accounts or, TD Ameritrade accounts or NinjaTrader account, whatever it may be. There will be multiple accounts or Vanguard accounts. I think I still have a Vanguard account separately because I never touched the Vanguard one. So they're all going to be for a very particular purpose. So I might have an IRA account, and in that IRA account, I am only contributing to the future with no plans whatsoever of touching it, right? It's not for me. It might not even be for my future me. It might be for my great-grandchildren or their great-grandchildren to be paid out over dividends or to be paid out on distributions into a trust, whatever it may be. However, I need to understand the difference about why I'm trading. Am I trading for myself? Because if I'm trading for myself, then that's a today thing. And that's not an investment. That is a cash flow issue or a reason to make money now, because I do need money now. There's inflation happening. There's rising cost of living. There's a recession on the way. If all of these things are happening, that means that I have to be prepared for what's happening right now in my current situation. Now, of course, I might also be working at the same time in order to make those things more adjustable and be able to fix that. But at the same time, I need to understand both. What am I investing for? What am I doing this for? What do I truly need? And do I need it for today or do I need it for tomorrow? And once you understand who you're investing for and what you're investing for, and you understand that reason, then you can create a plan that's crystal clear. You might say, for example, hey, I only want 10%. That's it. 10% of what I need for growth over the course of the next 10, 20, 30 years, I only need 10% growth regularly. Now, if I'm trading, I might go for 30 or 40% because now I'm taking a bigger risk. I'm also going to be paying more in taxes. I'm going to be utilizing that cash in a very particular way. So I'm looking for cash flow to where it might be something that buys me a project that's long-term or creates the income that I need for something that's long-term. However, what I will not do is use long-term investing and income that's set for a long-term process. If it's a 30 or 40-year process and I bought this stock with the goal of holding it for 30 or 40 years, I'm not going to sell it tomorrow. I'm not going to sell it next week. I'm not going to sell it ever. And the reason I'm not selling it ever is because I want to have equity into something that's always going to create growth and equity if it's something I truly believe in. And if I truly believe in the stock market, then I will just have equity in the stock market. A lot of people got terrified and ran away when COVID happened. A lot of people got terrified and ran away when the Great Depression happened. A lot of people got terrified and ran away when the market crash in 2008 happened when it came to real estate. But the issue is a lot of people got wiped out, but a lot of people made a lot of money. And the reason they made money is because they stayed firm. And if you stay firm in your conviction and you really believe in the process, then you will create and build wealth. So your journey needs to be based on what you're trying to create. If you're only trying to create money for today, then great. You will be successful at creating money for today. However, if your fear is comfortably retiring, having what you need to retire, having the money that you need to be successful in the future, then in that case, you're going to have a separate plan for that. And maybe you're too busy. Maybe you love being a doctor with all your heart and you're like, I'm never going to retire. Great. Even if you're never going to retire, make sure that you have a plan that makes sense. If you have a company, that company offers you a 401k and you do a 401k match, or they do a 401k match with you, great. Invest in that 401k. If you want to do a self-directed IRA because you don't believe the 401k is going to be in your best interest, or they have really high management fees, or the percentages of turnover are too high and you're paying more than 1% on a managed account mutual fund, and if that's the case, then manage it yourself. And if you're going to be able to manage it yourself, if you know the skill set to manage it yourself and you're confident in those skills, then understand that that's for a long-term process. You're not spending that money today. All right, you're paying for your money up front to work for you for a long time. That is like you're hiring an employee and you want that employee to always make money for you over and over and over again for the rest of your life and for the rest of your children's lives further and further down the line. A lot of people are okay with just going through life and having very ordinary expectations of yourself. Some people think that people who are extraordinary are blessed or gifted or just lucky. And the truth is, that's not always the case. You don't have to be highly intelligent to be successful. Matter of fact, I know people who can barely read who are multimillionaires. I know people who are like children who barely know and understand what they're doing in life, but are still multimillionaires. And it happens because they believe in the process. And whatever that process is, as long as you believe in the process and as long as you're committed to that process, then you can very successfully move forward with it, especially with your investments. So understand that your investment is not about you. Your investment is about you in the future. And if you have something else, more of a legacy to pass down, something behind your last name, then know this: your investment is not about you even in the future. It is about the legacy that you're trying to leave behind, which means that millions of dollars can become billions of dollars over the course of 100 or 200 years. And that sounds absurd, but that's how far in the future you have to think. You have to think generations down the line. What will your children's children's children need? Not what just you need, right? So what you need today, you might need to buy bread and buy gas, or you need a place to live. That's for today. So understand trading, understand cash flow, and understand how to bring money into yourself now, because that's important now. And if that's not what you need, if you already have a fantastic job, if you're already working as a doctor or a nurse practitioner, or you're a lawyer, or you have a great career as a police officer, and that's not what you need as of now, then think about what you need in the future. And in the future, you have to be able to set yourself up for having a legacy. Don't depend on someone else to believe in your legacy for you. That's like going down the street and asking your neighbor, hey, can you watch my kids and take care of them financially and for the next 20 years? Your neighbor will look at you like you're insane. They'll be like, oh, I thought you were going to ask me to watch your kid for the afternoon. Like, sure, I can do that. Your kid comes after school and you want me to watch him while you go to the grocery store? Yeah, I'm a great neighbor. That's not a problem. You want me to financially be responsible for your children, your children's future for forever and the rest of their life? That's not going to happen. That sounds absurd. So in this case, for you to understand the current goal, the current path, and once you create that current path, you can understand that being extraordinary is not impossible. And being wealthy is not impossible. It just takes determination and consistency. And sometimes a lot of people fail at the consistency part. If you're only putting $100 away every single month and you're going, well, I'll never be rich. What do you think rich entails? Rich entails you doing something consistently over and over again and then continually adding to that process. If you're putting $100 away and $100 buys you one stock, and you have dividends that are being reinvested, then the next month you're buying more stock. And then the next month you're buying more stock. And every quarter you're adding to that. So eventually you will become wealthy. The thing about eventually is that people don't like eventually. But here's the thing about wealth. Wealth is something that takes time to accumulate and build. You can do it rapidly, but even when you're building wealth rapidly, sometimes easy come, easy go because you don't understand the process. Make sure that the process is something that's going to last for a lifetime. Not only your lifetime, your children's lifetime, and their children's lifetime, because you want to create a legacy. Sometimes you don't even see the fruits of your labor. If you create a tree, you dig and you plant a tree, you might not enjoy the shade of that tree, but your children might. and your children's children might. Because why? Then it's like 100-year-old oak tree. You might not be alive afterwards, but your children will be. So you need to understand why you're investing, what it's about, and who it's for. And as always, I want you guys to know that it's possible and anything is possible as long as you're consistent and you're willing to build. All right, guys, I will see you next time. I really hope this was helpful. And as always, I want to wish you guys the same thing: health, wealth, and happiness. I will catch you guys in the next episode.